Good evening, good evening, good evening. How you folks doing today? Happy Friday. It's July 31st and we are back here at Saida's Orchid Room. I know we've been away for most of the month. That's because a lot was going on. Many of you know it was my birthday month. So yeah, I'm finally able to catch up. I hope you all have been enjoying the weather that we had at the maybe 2 weeks ago, a little over a week ago, the nice hot summertime weather. My favorite, of course. But I know a lot of you need a break from the haze, the heat. It slows you down. You don't want to move. But it actually stimulates me and brings me to life. Anywho, I hope you all were able to take advantage of all the activities that took place in between the last time we were on screen versus now. We ended around Juneteenth, so there was a lot of activities that took place that I mentioned to you all leading up to July this year. My family and I were able to get away, have a day out in the sun at a local park. Well, not a local park, it's Greenbrier, so it's up 70 for those of you who may know. It's well kept secret. Not too many beaches here in Maryland are clean, but this one is nice. I'm talking from the sand to the actual water. We went right before the 4th of July, and it was really calm that day. It was a lot of folks there, like, more than you would see on a weekday, because we did go on a weekday. And it was just magnificent for me to be in my element. So I'm a crab. July 7th was my birthday. So being one with the sun and the water, I was so rejuvenated. I didn't even want to leave that day. And fortunately, I found out for those who are campers, they have a camping ground there. I was completely awed by that fact because I've been going maybe the past 2-3 years. I never knew they had camping grounds. So what I was told is that close to dusk, after the park closes, you can set up in the campground. I ran into a young lady who actually was from Oakland Mills, the same village I'm from in Columbia. She had her children there and they had stayed the night before. They had tents that she had gotten from Walmart, mind you. And so she explained that they had arrived the night before around 6 p.m. So they were able to enjoy the beach that evening for a little bit. And then they set up their tents in the campground area. They met other families. They actually had a campfire. So her children had a really nice time. They were ages 4 and 10. She had twin girls that were 10 and a little boy who was 4. She explained in the morning, they had breakfast and got ready, packed their things up, and then migrated over to the beach. So it was really nice running into her, and it was even more of a excitement for me knowing that if I chose to the next time I go, my family and I can camp out there. Now, with that said, I am not one for being in the wilderness, woods, snakes, little bugs, and all that crap. So I need to get me a nice tent for queen in order to venture out there, because mind you, the last time I've been camping was maybe over 20 years ago at Camp Maryland. And those of you who are familiar with Camp Maryland know that you can rent the cabins there as well as bring your own tents and set up in the camping area. So the group that I went with, which was a group of coworkers, we actually rented the cabin. It was very rustic, but we had a good time. So there was no bugs and snakes for me to worry about. So we'll see what happens the next time I go back to Greenbrier. Yes, honey. With that said, 4th of July came rolling around. That was a give or take, hit or miss, because the day started off really nice. We had a cookout and enjoyed being out in the sun. And then just around evening, the weather switched up and the rain came in. So I'm like, oh, wow. Please don't tell me we're not going to have fireworks. What's the 4th of July without fireworks? So it rained pretty good in our area in Columbia. However, around 9:15-ish, there was a notification that came out that the fireworks would be delayed slightly, but it still would take place. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll just do what I normally do, which is just walk out a little ways up from my community, from where my neighborhood is, into the community. Now, years past, the community I live in gets saturated with onlookers for the 4th of July. You can see it pretty good from my neighborhood where it takes place at the Columbia Lake, Kittamaqundi. So families sit on the hills, they make a big to-do about it. They bring their food, it's not exactly like downtown Columbia, but years in the past, we used to have vendors out there. I mean, a big to-do. So this year was a little calmer than that, but the fireworks were not disappointing. Oh, those of us who did gather, I actually went up into the apartment parking lot from where I live and had a phenomenal view. And fortunately, there was like a good handful of other people, two handfuls of other people around me. Everybody just looking up at the sky, enjoying the fact that the rain had stopped. So it was a wonderful ending to the 4th of July for me this year. Like the 4th of July has always been special to me because my granddaddy, and some of you know this story, my granddaddy always went out of his way from the time I was a little girl up until before he passed away in 2006. He would go out of his way like the week prior to, leading up to the 4th. He would gather up a case of Pepsis. He would have hamburger patties ready, hot dogs for the grill. He had this massive tent he would hook up all by himself without asking anybody for help. And he would just, have it going on and made it known to us why it was important for us to celebrate as U.S. citizens of the United States. Because I'm like, Granddaddy, why you going all out the way for this country to celebrate this here so-called independence when they don't treat us brown folks of African descent like we belong here? And he said, never mind all that foolishness. Were you born here on this land? Yes, Granddaddy. I was born here on this land, he said. My parents were born here on this land, so therefore we are American. And he would raise his big old American flag and let it fly every year. I inherited the flag, of course. Unfortunately, I had to get rid of it a few years back, maybe about 10 years ago, because it had a string, a pole, and it was a big to-do. And after a while, the string got worn and withered, and so. But I do have a deep appreciation for the 4th of July because of my granddaddy, Raymond Makel, who made sure he went out his way for family to come together, to celebrate and enjoy one another in the honor of being American, period. Not Black American, not African American, none of that crap that people use to keep us separated. So I'm not going to keep going on a tangent about that, but now you all understand why that was one of my favorite why it is still one of my favorite holidays, and I will forever celebrate it until the day I die. And then we went on to birthday celebrations. As I mentioned, my birthday is July 7th. My sister Olivia, who passed, is July 8th. And my daughter Rashida is July 13th. So every year we've always celebrated our birthdays together. Um, as you all know, when Libby passed last year, it was just ugh, different when birthday season came around for us. But this year, I must say, her presence was fully felt, and we all have been enjoying our birthday month by cooking out and celebrating mainly with family. I haven't been able to catch up to friends as much because I hate to say it, July goes by in the blink of an eye for me, which is why I celebrate my birthday from June 30th up to July 31st. So today is cutoff day. Yay! I'm tired. Do you hear me? I'm tired. Maybe next year, since I'm getting seasoned and all, I'll cut back to just 2 weeks, maybe July 1st through July 15th, opposed to all that I've been doing up until now. A sister is maturing. But I was so happy to spend my daughter's birthday with her this year because she gave me some incredible news. I'm going to be a grandma, y'all. My first grandbaby on the way, and I must say she is ecstatic. I am thrilled and looking forward to our new addition to the family. And with that said, I'm going to keep my composure because it is her story to tell, and I shall respect it. And I just want you all to know it's coming for me, grandma season. So as we're wrapping up the month of July, I would just like to take the time to say that I really appreciate those folks who have been supportive to me on a personal level. Many of you know it's been very challenging for me the past few months. My mom was diagnosed with cancer back in March. Fortunately, it was all removed. This Tuesday coming up will be her second to last treatment. And I must say, she's been progressing nicely. So to those of you who keep us in prayer, near and dear to your hearts, from my family to you all, thank you. Thank you all so much. We sincerely appreciate you all. And we're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, we're going to touch on a topic that I feel is kind of falling apart and losing meaning in society. But that's my personal opinion. I want to know what you all feel about having good manners. And before we take a break, I want you all to know on my channel, you still have the opportunity to check out the showcased poems of the month from my latest audiobook, To Saeed with Love. So please jot down the channel. It is, oh gosh, I have to take my glasses off to read it almost. It is https://www.youtube.com/@ capital S for Shakur 7770. So again, it's https://www.youtube.com/ at capital S, Shakur 7770. And Shakur is with a capital S as well. Okay. Yes, the handle has been updated within the last month. So if any of you tried to find us and didn't, that may be the reason why. But good news, I got a couple more subscribers since the last time we were on air. So thank you all. Thank you all for sharing my channel with friends and family. Please continue to do so. And please comment. Let us have some dialogue going on. I don't want to feel like I'm a lone island out here. However, you all tell me face to face how you checking me out. You like the vibe. You've subscribed. Dialogue with me. Okay? All right. So, Melvin, are we ready to take a little break? All right, folks. We'll be back momentarily, and we're going to dialogue about good manners. Disco Sunday Studio, because we're back in session with Saida's Orchid Room. And for the second half of the podcast today, as I mentioned, we want to discuss good manners or manners in general. Do manners matter to you? So let us see what the actual definition of having manners means. Okay? By definition, when I Googled what does having good manners mean, the definition I received was good manners are polite actions that show respect and kindness to others, such as saying please and thank you, listening when others speak, and respecting their personal space as well. So I just happened to be out and about the other day, and a young man was entering the local mini mart where I live as I was coming out. And as I said, he was a young man. I paused to see what he would do as he was walking in. So he did open the door. He greeted me. It was quickly, but it was a salutation. And then he proceeded to hold the door as I exited. All I could think at the time was, wow, his mama raised him right. It made me happy. Actually, I acknowledged him. I said, thank you for being a gentleman today. We need more of you. And he was like, yes, ma'am. He was really, he was really on his journey, but he did not stop being respectful while doing so. So with that being said, how do you all feel? Are you having those type of experiences? Or perhaps you may be having other experiences like what I went through earlier today. I was at Walmart in the grocery store, and I happened to be there around lunchtime. So it was a little busy. People were moving about rapidly. And I saw a young lady on, I guess, her lunch break. She had a uniform on. She came in, and there was an older gentleman who was kind of shuffling along amongst the produce section. And I could see she was trying to be patient with him. But before I knew, she practically reached in front of the man to grab a bag to put her produce in. I did not hear her say, excuse me, pardon me, or anything. Like, it was a snatch of the bag and her back was turned. And then she kept on moving right along. And I watched the elder gentleman basically try to steady himself on his cart to keep his balance because he turned with a swivel that offset him. Needless to say, had he fallen, that would have been a fiasco. However, the young lady had no clue as to what she had just done. So I'm wondering, is it because that we are from different schools of thought, how people have been raised, generations? Is it that? Is it cultural differences? Or is it social media that's just making the society as a whole disrespectful towards one another? I mean, I've seen it even in traffic. There's signs that says oncoming traffic is supposed to merge. Folks' mentality nowadays is me first. Why is that? I mean, sometimes, especially when I'm on highways like 695 especially, people have an attitude of, I got to get to where I'm going, opposed to, I want to get back home safely. Maybe I'm just coming into this frame of being because I'm more seasoned now. Back in 2021, I was T-boned on the passenger side of my car. I think I may have mentioned this previously. I loved that car. It was a 2014 Chevy Cruze. It was sweet. Anyway, after that accident occurred, I noticed I'm not as much of a daredevil with speed like yesteryear. One of the things that I'd always dreamt of doing as a young person was being a race car driver. So it spilled into me taking that out on the road. And I hate to say it, I have road rage, even to this day, which is why I slow down even more. Because people are not kidding out here when it comes to pulling out bang bangs and unaliving you just because of a gesture. So, yeah, I noticed with the car I got after the Cruze, it was a Fiesta. She was fast and I could dart in and out of places. So at times I was reckless. Okay. However, I'm now hitting the season in my life where I realize road rage is not worth it. Racing to get to a location is not worth it. I need to be able to leave out in time so that I'm not speeding to any location that I need to arrive to in order to get back home safely. And as I watch more younger people who are, living it up, especially on the weekends, like tonight is Friday night, in my neighborhood, we have what I call the rowdy bunch, the rough and ready, the fast and furious wannabes. They get to going, scat, scat, and you think that the neighborhood is a freaking racetrack. Where they racing to, I have no idea because there's nothing but curves and trees in the neighborhood. So I guess they just like the roar of the engine, but it's a disturbance. So even now, during the daytime, you will see people going on the shoulders to pass you. This all ties back to manners, folks. It's like the mentality out here nowadays is me and only me. Where's the humanity in that thought process? when did that process become so prevalent? I'm trying to figure it out. What generation did it get lost in? My generation? I'm in my 50s. I like to think the 30-year-olds have the mannerisms, because I truly believe maybe the 50s was the last group that actually had a sense of yesteryear, old school way of living. The 40-something-year-olds, they're different. They're different. I know they are. And I think that ripple effect has gone through each generation. I even heard a young man once say he didn't want to teach his children how to say please because it was begging. Sister in Faith, her son-in-law. And then I wondered if it was because of the culture he was from. He actually came from a different country. But that was his thought about saying please. That's begging. So I want to know, like, is it culture differences? Is it the fact that some people believe certain people of certain status deserve respect versus other people whose status may not be, as appreciated in society? Does it have anything to do with sexism, gender, discrimination? Is it gender discrimination? It's just a lot of causes out here that are being made that's going to eventually lead to us not being relatable to one another. Being relatable to one another begins with respect. Genuine respect, My next question is, were you all raised to have manners in your household? Because as I reflect back on my growing up, there was a time or two in my household when I would answer my parents with a yeah when they said my name. June, yeah. June, what? No, ma'am. No, sir. It was not acceptable. And I was chastised right in that moment. Is yes, or as my grandparents stressed, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. I do know that's cultural because as I grew up and got out in the workplace and would say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir to different groups of people outside of my culture. Why you address me as ma'am? I'm the same age as you. I didn't mean any disrespect to you. That's just how we are in my culture, So now I have my youngin', my nephew's son, who I happen to rear like I was reared. When he answers me, I'd like him to answer yes, not what or huh. I was not raised with that, and it grates my ear like it grated my elders who taught me not to use such lingo. And at times he really looks at me like, would you stop it, Tia? People don't talk like that nowadays. And I'm like, I don't care how people talk nowadays. This is how you're going to talk. Because real talk, when you enter the workforce, you need to have good manners. Good manners will propel you. I had a supervisor tell me in my 20s, The reason that you're going to succeed in life is not so much because you're educated, it's because you got good manners. You're well-mannered. And I excelled at that job until I excelled straight out the door. And that was on a good note. I progressed. So just like people believe and cut and thought cursive was not important and it cut it out of schools, it's going to come back around. And there's a generation lost that does not know how to write in cursive. My nephew can tell you to this day, when he used to have summer breaks as a little boy, what did he practice doing? Writing cursive. It's not a loss to be old school. There is a trap that's being set out here in society that's been in place long before I came into being. And the trap is to steal the youth's functionality so they can be dummied down and not question what's right, what's wrong, because they will be blatantly ignorant of what is and what is not. We're seeing it now, folks. And again, is good manners being taught in your household? That's where it begins, because how you treat each other at home is how you go out in society treating each other, which is, not me preaching, it's real talk. When you acknowledge yourselves in the house in certain mannerisms is how you'll do when you go out in society, which is why some people will walk by and acknowledge one another, and others will walk by like you're not even seen. What are we going to do about that? Personally, I see some of the social media, music, and stuff just flaunt it's all about me mindset. My cash, my clothes, my cars, my jewelry. Me, myself, and I. We gotta get better. Y'all, that's my age and older, we gotta do better with talking to younger people. Don't buy into the myth they don't want to hear us. There's plenty out there who are very intelligent, and they know in order to move forward in the future, where they're at now is connected from the past. So engage with them, dialogue, okay? We as elders should not be walking around out here scared of young people. I just can't, I won't do it. You're gonna have to just knock me over and keep them, hope I don't get up, because even if I'm down, that's another subject. So let's not be scared of one another is my point, okay? So I'm looking forward to seeing you all next month in August. We're going to be having some great topics. As I mentioned previously, I've been meeting some really good people and dialoguing on, certain matters that are at the forefront right now with the stage of life different people are at. One being illnesses, mental health, as well as physical illnesses. So we're going to talk upon those matters. We also want to have some guests on here that will be able to expose some of their businesses that they have going on. Like I said, I've met some really good people and would like to share them with you all so that they can have more exposure. And we're going to also delve into some real estate. That's the way to go in order to leave some generational wealth. One of the ways to go. And as always, I'm going to have me some fly poets and poetess stop by and pay us a visit. So please, oh please, enjoy these last days of summer. Make the most of them. Let summer go out with a big bang. I know it technically doesn't end until September, but some of the students, young people, are starting back to school already. And some of the parents have to resume their jobs, especially those in education. So some people's summers are already over. But as I said, I want you all to take time to relax, de-escalate, stay stress-free, take care of your mind, your bodies, okay? Smell the roses, and check us out in the coming podcast. Share with your friends and family. As always, like the vibe and subscribe. Peace.